G'day again, wonderful listeners. This is episode 18 of Trev's Talk, and I'm your host, Trev. Last week I mentioned I was waiting for Pete, the school principal, to give me a document describing the scholarship project, and he has done me proud. In the last week, his email to me had an attachment called Mudich Scholarship Fund, which set out comprehensive detail on the fund and would be of great help to me when pitching the fund to prospective donors. The word Mudich means awesome in the Noongar language, and the First Nations people in my area are from the Noongar clan. I think it's cool to name the fund in their language the Awesome Scholarship Fund. Sounds great. Anyway, Pete is getting the teachers to select 2 students to be the first ones to get the scholarship. Once they have been selected, Pete will arrange for me to attend a school assembly and present scholarship award certificates to the selected students. I will have photos taken and get permission from the parents to use those photos in promoting the Mudich Scholarship Fund to prospective partners as founders and donors. Due to the past special dream mentioned in last episode and in my journal on the 12th of September 2010, which had me sitting at table with some Muslims waiting for an imam or cleric to come and join us, and also due to strong GBs received on several occasions, I feel very positively that I am being guided by the spiritual world to get the 3 great Abrahamic faiths, Muslim, Jews and Christian, to work with me on the scholarship project. I previously thought the way forward could come about from a future meeting with the Muslim lady, Medina, from the local mosque I mentioned in my last episode. However, there is a new development which could come into the scholarship project as well. A few weeks ago, in journal entry of the 9th of April, just gone, I mentioned getting strong GBs, that is goosebumps, over a lady in suicide prevention named Megan, but I did not mention that the Senator Fatima Payman was also present when I was getting the GBs. Fatima is a Muslim as well as a senator. Fatima may also be a help to me to get an introduction to a senior imam who may be willing to come on board in our scholarship project. With all this in mind, I found contact details for Megan and asked her for contact details for Fatima. Megan said that Fatima spends a lot of time away in the east with her parliamentary duties, and it may be better to contact her husband, who is here in Perth, and she gave me his number. So I can contact him and try him for an intro to a senior imam, or I can wait until the meeting with Medina this month and try her for an introduction to a senior imam. I think my best move now with the scholarship project is to wait until the award presentation of the 2 students at the school assembly and get photos of them receiving their certificates to add to Pete's document detailing the Mudich Scholarship Fund, together with a clear business plan, so when I do meet with a Muslim imam, I have some material things to show, not just talk a lot of talk. I've had experience with trying to get the 3 faiths to join me in a small project way back in 2018. I approached them to give a small annual grant towards bus costs for transporting Aboriginal school students to and from extracurricular activities during and after school hours to win good attendance and behaviour from the students. The Catholic and Anglican archdioceses quickly came on board with the minor financial contribution I requested. However, when I approached the Muslims and Jews, their religious representatives were enthusiastic, but the people handling their funds were not and did not come on board. I did learn a lot from that experience and know that I can do a much better job with the Moody Scholarship Fund project. For a start, we now have the terrible conflict in Gaza between Muslims and Jews, and we have had spin-off protests from that in the eastern states. I believe the Muslims and Jews here in Australia would benefit in public relations from publicly working together on a project helping Aboriginal students advance their education. Most people in Australia would recognise that the Aboriginal situation in Australia is probably the greatest social injustice we have. The three great faiths, Muslim, Jew and Christian, all profess and proclaim that they want to help people suffering social injustice, and this Scholarship Fund project would certainly do that. It is a chance to do something, an actual act, and not just talk. Also, there is an example in Victoria of something very similar to this Scholarship Fund project, which started way back in 2001 in a similar small way and has over the following years developed into a hugely beneficial program for Aboriginal students. It is called Opening the Doors Foundation and has now an annual budget close to $1 million and is helping hundreds of Aboriginal students. The St. Vincent de Paul Society in Victoria was an early financial supporter and gives generous grants. That encourages me to believing that at some stage of the Medjugorje Centre's Moody Scholarship Fund project, I will be able to engage the Vinnies in this state to join us and support us with generous grants. We can grow just as Opening the Doors Foundation has done. I believe I will be able to get Vinnies to come on board because I have been a Vinnies member since my return to Australia from my visit in 1990 to the little village of Medjugorje. That visit was my life changer, and joining Vinnies was my first effort to helping others, as I knew I was to do for the rest of my life. So at this point, I've held all different office-bearing positions in Vinnies, including a term on the board of management, and no one would be in a better position to recommend they become a financial supporter of a social justice project. Should Vinnies decision makers question my involvement with the Medjugorje Centre as administrator for the Moody Scholarship Fund and express a fear that I could have a conflict of interest, I could point them to part of my journal entry of the 10th of October 2010 and from episode 10, which states, "Recently I put a proposal to Vinnie State Council to allocate me one of their houses in Midland to set up a drop-in centre, but as I wanted to do it while connected to Our Lady's charity, the council members said it was a conflict of interests and I was wearing two hats. They were rather antagonistic to the proposal. The time now, while documenting this, is 2 a.m. and I just had a fleeting dream of two hats. One was a size bigger than the other, so that one hat fitted tightly inside the other. This was the perfect answer to State Council objections. There you go. Once again, given guidance by special dreams from the spiritual world. That was a really cool dream, and it gave me an answer to any objections regarding my connection to the Medjugorje Centre administering the Moody Scholarship Fund, while at the same time seeking financial support from Vinnie's. The desire and aim of the Medjugorje Centre and the desire and aim of Vinnie's is exactly the same, which is to advance the education of Aboriginal students. Further special dream encouragement comes from my journal of the 19th of October 2010, which states, "I dreamt twice last night about Vinnie's accountant. It is unusual to dream twice in the one night about the same thing. We were going over budgets. Also, a couple of weeks ago, I had GBs over him when talking to him on the phone, so I will just remember all this for the future." End of entry. 2 dreams of the same thing in the one night. Surely that's highly unusual. I believe I will get Vinnie's to help with the Moody Scholarship Fund. Well, that's it, wonderful listeners, for this week. Please subscribe, like and share on YouTube, or follow and share on Spotify. Comments also help if you do some. This is Trev, tuning out for this week.